It is incredibly tempting to authorize a new software build and demand that engineering start writing code immediately. But when you build out before diagnosing the actual business constraint, the structure inevitably begins to buckle under its own weight. Choosing an arbitrary development path to save time usually has the opposite effect. It locks your team into compounding technical debt and an architecture that forces your business to adapt to the software, rather than the other way around. Skipping the initial roadmap phase means discovering systemic flaws months into development. The resulting rework and budget overruns ensure that the project becomes wildly expensive before a single feature reaches your users. This chart shows the relationship between time spent planning and long-term technical debt. When discovery is skipped, the cost curve accelerates exponentially as engineers attempt to untangle competing requirements on the fly. Strategic discovery acts as a necessary brake on that runaway engineering spend. Investing in upfront discovery forces a pause to validate the architecture. By mapping out integrations and workflows early, that initial investment yields a flat, controlled cost trajectory over the lifespan of the product. Pushing for speed at the starting line offers a false sense of progress if the resulting execution path completely misses the operational problem you actually need to solve. In reality, very few organizations approach a software partner with a flawless, finalized product specification. The true starting point is usually an urgent pressure, a legacy system that can no longer support daily volume, a sudden security exposure, or a missed product launch window. Other times, the friction is internal. You might be dealing with disconnected data workflows, a mandate to implement AI without clear use cases, or an internal development team that simply lacks the bandwidth to take on another project. A reliable development partner recognizes this dynamic. Their first responsibility is diagnosing these specific alerts in your operational reality, rather than immediately deploying engineers to start typing out code. Identifying that primary bottleneck clarifies the entire roadmap. The exact nature of your friction dictates the specific service model required to clear it. Correctly diagnosing the business constraint is the only reliable method for designing a commercially viable software engagement that actually delivers a return on investment. To make that diagnosis practical, we use a process called the scenario match. This pairs your exact operational constraint with a specialized development path. Let's look at this decision tree. Our first scenario happens when off-the-shelf software cannot accommodate your unique user roles and workflows. When processes are that specific, the path leads to custom software development. The architecture is tailored to how your team works. Building a bespoke platform demands a larger initial investment in time and capital, but it delivers an exact operational fit. A different scenario emerges when the challenge involves multi-system compliance, secure data pipelines, and workflows that span distinct departments. That level of complexity points to enterprise modernization. The focus here shifts away from building a single isolated feature and moves towards stabilizing the interconnected environment the software has to survive inside. Your choice between a custom build and an enterprise upgrade comes down to whether you are spinning up a new standalone capability or attempting to rescue an interconnected ecosystem that is already under pressure. Another frequent constraint is the pressure to adopt AI. Leadership teams often know they need product intelligence, but lack the underlying data foundation to make it work. The core rule of AI software development is that intelligence has to be designed into the data flows from day one. It cannot function as a separate bolted-on accessory at the end of a project. This flowchart illustrates a functioning system. Raw data filters through an intelligence layer, integrating analytics into automated workflows. The trade-off is preparation. Before deployment, raw inputs must be mapped and reorganized into a structured format. Heavy upfront data planning is non-negotiable. Once that groundwork is stable, you gain the ability to deploy personalization and decision support tools that tie directly to measurable business outcomes. Ultimately, AI capabilities are entirely capped by the strength of the data architecture operating beneath them. Beyond the core architecture, you will likely face peripheral operational constraints, like putting tools into the hands of field teams or overcoming hard limits on your internal headcount. Mobile app development directly solves for access. It ties your customer and employee interfaces tightly into the existing platform logic, ensuring performance holds up in the field. When bandwidth is the issue, structured outsourcing allows you to rapidly add engineering scale while maintaining clear communication and strict internal governance. And across every deployment, secure software development enforces strict access controls, API protection, and encryption as baseline requirements, never as post-launch cleanup tasks. These supporting services act as the scaffolding for your core build, guaranteeing the platform remains accessible, adequately staffed, and locked down against external threats. Knowing what to build is only half the equation. Delivering it successfully requires a disciplined lifecycle to keep the project from losing its structure. This horizontal timeline shows the three-phase progression to maintain executive control. First is discover and de-risk, where you clarify workflows before engineering starts. Next is build and integrate, where code is written to deploy cloud environments and data systems. Finally, support and improve provides ongoing issue response and security updates. Skipping this final phase is an easy way to let a live, highly useful application slowly degrade into a massive operational risk. Utilizing an end-to-end lifecycle guarantees that your product strategy, your engineering work, and your long-term maintenance never devolve into disconnected silos. There is one final scenario. Sometimes the software risk is deeply strategic, the modernization roadmap is highly sensitive, or an existing initiative has completely stalled. For these high-stakes decisions, software consulting provides an executive control layer, specifically through a framework called RAPID: research, analyze, plan, implement, and decide. This table highlights the difference. Applying RAPID mandates clear decision ownership, ensuring software execution connects directly to measurable business outcomes. The trade-off demands executive visibility at the very beginning, but acting as a protective oversight layer, this upfront involvement prevents massive, expensive failures downstream. Partnering with a team that uses a structured delivery model allows you to aggressively pursue market timing while keeping your executive visibility entirely intact. Navigating an enterprise build requires decision support just as much as it requires code. Selecting the precise service path to match your constraint is the only guaranteed way to de-risk your investment.